January 1st, 2017. The world wakes up to a reality that only months prior felt like a statistical impossibility. The old maps of the 20th century have been folded up and thrown away. There is a new electric tension in the air, a feeling that the global order isn't just changing, but is being actively, violently disrupted. In Washington, D.C., the scaffolding is rising for an inauguration that will signal the end of the post-war American consensus. In the digital shadows, a new kind of currency called Bitcoin is beginning a vertical climb that will challenge the very concept of money. But beneath the headlines, the planet is pulsing with a different kind of heat. From the unprecedented coral bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef to the high-speed missile tests over the Sea of Japan, 2017 is the year the unthinkable becomes the daily news. It is the year of the Great Disruption, where the voice of the people, the power of the algorithm, and the fury of nature collide in a spectacle of chaos. The world context of 2017 is defined by the birth of the post-truth era. This is the year the word alternative facts enters the global lexicon, signaling a fundamental breakdown in the shared reality of the human species. The information age has matured into the disinformation age. The information age has matured into the disinformation age. We are living in a world of echo chambers, where algorithms on Facebook and Twitter have become the primary architects of our beliefs, prioritizing engagement over accuracy. Economically, the world is experiencing a deceptive boom. While stock markets hit record highs, the gig economy is hollowing out the social safety net, creating a new class of precariat workers who are connected to the cloud but disconnected from stability. This is the year of the crypto fever, as a digital gold rush draws millions into a speculative bubble that defies traditional economic logic. Culturally, the mood is one of defiant polarization. We are no longer just disagreeing, we are living in different universes. The mainstream media is under a sustained assault, and the expert is being replaced by the influencer. This is the year of the resistance and the MAGA movement, two sides of a coin that are no longer on speaking terms. The context of 2017 is a planet that is technologically more advanced than ever, witnessing the rise of 5G and autonomous vehicles, yet socially more fractured than at any point since the 1960s. It is a world where the global village has turned into a global arena, and the only rule is that there are no more rules. The spark that fundamentally changed the trajectory of the decade occurred on January 20th, 2017. The inauguration of Donald J. Trump as the 45th President of the United States was the geopolitical Big Bang. It was the inciting event because it marked the definitive end of the liberal world order. Within minutes of taking the oath, the rhetoric of American carnage signaled a retreat from global leadership and a move toward a hard nationalist stance that would send every chancellery in the world into a state of panic. This wasn't just a change in administration, it was a systemic shock. It triggered an immediate, global reevaluation of treaties, trade deals, and security alliances. From the withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership to the sustained attacks on NATO and the UN, the leader of the free world was now the chief disruptor. This event acted as a permission slip for nationalists and populists across the globe. From the rise of the AfD in Germany to the tightening grip of leaders in Hungary and Poland, the inauguration shock changed the lens of 2017. Every subsequent event, the travel bans, the border wall debates, the Twitter-led diplomacy, flowed from this one moment of radical departure. It forced the world to ask, is America still a reliable partner, or is the Pax Americana over? This inciting event ensured that 2017 would be a year of diplomatic vertigo, where the world's most powerful nation became its most unpredictable variable. It was the moment the establishment realized it had lost control of the narrative. Politics in 2017 was a high-stakes game of nuclear chicken. The defining political event was the North Korean missile crisis. Throughout the year, Kim Jong-un's regime conducted a series of increasingly sophisticated tests, including a powerful hydrogen bomb and ICBMs capable of reaching the American mainland. The world watched in terror as the rhetoric of fire and fury and Little Rocket Man escalated toward the brink of a catastrophic conflict on the Korean peninsula. But the brinkmanship wasn't limited to Asia. In Europe, the Brexit divorce officially began with the triggering of Article 50, plunging the UK into a state of constitutional and economic uncertainty that would paralyze British politics for years. In France, the election of Emmanuel Macron was seen as a centrist counteroffensive against the populist tide, But his victory only highlighted the deep fissures within the European Union. In the Middle East, the Qatar diplomatic crisis saw a group of Arab nations sever ties with Doha, redrawing the lines of regional power. Simultaneously, the territorial caliphate of ISIS began to crumble in Mosul and Raqqa, leaving a power vacuum and a trail of devastation in its wake. 2017 was the year of maximum pressure and sudden shifts. It was a political map where the old borders, both physical and ideological, were being tested as never before. The political event of 2017 was the death of diplomacy by quiet channels, replaced by diplomacy by viral outburst. Socially, 2017 was the year the silence was broken. The primary social event was the explosion of the Me Too movement. Following the exposés on Harvey Weinstein in October, a tidal wave of testimonies from women across the world broke through decades of systemic abuse and harassment. This was the Great Reckoning, a social realignment that toppled titans of industry, media, and politics in a matter of weeks. It wasn't just a hashtag, it was a fundamental shift in the power dynamics of the human species. In the streets, the year began with the Women's March, the largest single-day protest in American history, signaling a new era of digital to physical activism. But the social fabric was also being torn by darker forces. The Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville became a racial flashpoint, bringing the imagery of neo-Nazis and white supremacists back into the mainstream and forcing a painful conversation about the unfinished business of history. Culturally, the mood was captured by Get Out and The Handmaid's Tale, works that explored the social horror of the modern world. Simultaneously, the opioid crisis was declared a public health emergency, as deaths of despair reached a record high, exposing the hollowed-out core of the industrial West. 2017 was the year of the exposure of the underbelly. We were no longer hiding our societal rot. We were broadcasting it in 4K. It was a year where identity became the primary lens through which we viewed the world, for better and for worse. As 2017 rolled into its second half, it felt like the planet itself was matching the political chaos. The Atlantic hurricane season wasn't just bad, it was historic. In just a few weeks, Harvey, Irma, and Maria unleashed devastation on Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico. Hurricane Maria, in particular, created a humanitarian catastrophe, leaving an entire U.S. territory without power for months. This exposed a harsh reality about who gets help and how quickly. We realized that supposed 1-in-1,000-year events were now happening every few years. At the same time, the West was on fire. From California all the way to British Columbia, massive wildfires turned the skies orange and forced hundreds of thousands to flee their homes. This wasn't some future debate anymore. This was visceral proof of a changing climate, a fire literally at our doorstep. It felt like the world was operating at 100% stress, with nature, politics, and technology pushing us all to the absolute limit. Despite the disruption, 2017 was a year of staggering discovery. The greatest high was the multi-messenger astronomy breakthrough. For the first time, scientists observed the collision of two neutron stars using both gravitational waves and light. It was a cosmic symphony, a high that allowed us to finally understand how the universe creates heavy elements like gold and platinum. In 2017, we proved that we could hear the fabric of space-time itself. In the world of biology, 2017 saw the high of the first human gene editing trial in vivo. A patient with Hunter syndrome had his DNA edited inside his body, marking the dawn of molecular surgery. It was a high of hope that promised a future where genetic typos could be corrected at the source. Simultaneously, the Great American Eclipse became a moment of collective awe, as millions of people across the continent looked up together, a rare analog connection in a digital age. In technology, the high was the victory of AlphaGo Zero. The AI taught itself to play the game of Go from scratch in just 3 days, eventually defeating every previous version. It was a high of artificial intelligence that signaled a move away from human-guided data to pure machine learning. We also saw the high of the Cassini spacecraft's grand finale, as it dove into Saturn's atmosphere after 13 years of revolutionary exploration, a poetic end to a masterpiece of engineering. These highs took society forward because they were triumphs of logic and wonder. They were moments where the human gaze reached beyond the chaos of our politics to the fundamental beauty of the universe. People believed that if we could detect the ripples of colliding stars and edit the code of life, then we were still the masters of our destiny. It was the high of the explorer, proving that while our societies were fracturing, our species' intelligence was still expanding at an exponential rate. The lows of 2017 were defined by senseless violence and human misery. The low point of the year was the Las Vegas shooting. In a single night in October, a gunman killed 58 people from a hotel window, becoming the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. This was a low of security, the realization that the soft targets of our daily lives were now front lines in an internal war. It moved society toward a permanent state of vigilance and grief. In the UK, the Grenfell Tower fire was a low of systemic failure. 72 people died in a social housing block because of cost-cutting cladding, a tragedy that exposed the lethal inequality of the modern city. The lows were also found in the Rohingya genocide in Myanmar, where hundreds of thousands were forced into Bangladesh in a campaign of ethnic cleansing that the world watched but failed to stop. Economically, the low was the Equifax data breach, where the sensitive information of 147 million people was stolen, a low of digital trust that showed our most personal data was in the hands of negligent corporations. But the deepest low was the crisis of democracy in Venezuela, where months of protests and food shortages led to a collapse of the state, creating a refugee crisis that would destabilize South America. These lows moved society in the wrong direction by entrenching cynicism and despair. They were the human cost of a world that had prioritized speed and profit over care and oversight. 2017 ended with a ledger that showed we were a high-definition, low-empathy world. The damage was deep and moral, creating a sense that the social contract was being shredded by the very systems designed to uphold it. 2017 will be remembered as the year the post-war consensus finally died. It was the historical turning point where disruption became the new normal. It mattered because it was a stress test for institutions, the courts, the press, and the diplomats. We learned that the truth was no longer a solid foundation, but a contested space. This was the year that the people and the algorithm joined forces to overthrow the elite. Why was it a turning point? Because it marked the inauguration of uncertainty. It reshaped history by forcing a great recalibration of power. What ended was the era of global cooperation. What began was the era of sovereign interests, where every nation and every individual was looking out for themselves. 2017 reshaped history by proving that identity politics was the new geopolitics. It was the year we realized that the internet was not a tool for liberation, but a battlefield for the human soul. The impact of 2017 is the structural reality of our lives today. The sovereign AI and digital IDs we now use were born in the disinformation wars of 2017. The decentralized finance that challenges our banks was born in the Bitcoin fever of that year. We see the impact in our resilient infrastructure, which was only built after the hurricanes of 2017 proved that our old cities were death traps. The Me Too movement fundamentally rewired the workplace of 2026, making accountability the baseline of every corporation. However, the political tribalism and the death of the center that started in 2017 are now the permanent features of our global landscape. We live in a world of hyper-transparency and hyper-fragility, a reality we first saw the source code of in 2017. 2017 taught us that the old world was never coming back. We are the survivors of the Great Disruption, navigating a world where truth is a premium feature and chaos is the only thing we can count on. 2017 was the year the status quo was burned as fuel for the new era. It was a year of silence breakers and missile crises, a year that showed us we could hear the stars, but couldn't speak to each other. We entered it thinking it was an anomaly, and we left it realizing it was the beginning. Unmasking of 2018 comes next. If this year surprised you, challenged what you thought you knew, or reminded you of something you lived through, leave a comment with what it meant to you. If this series helps you understand the present through the past, consider liking the video. And if you want every year exposed, subscribe to the channel. History isn't just something we watch, it's something we interpret, and something many of us lived through. Another year exposed is coming soon. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.